How about them Cowboys? Angry Cowboys fan. Born to battle. Storm just means we never sell. America's team through thick and thin. When the sun shines bright, that's when we win. Angry Cowboys fan.
So I got somebody here who would like to talk to Cowboy Nation that I've been dying to talk to for a while now. Mr. RJ Ochoa. What's the deal, brother? What's the deal?
How goes it, guys? Happy hump day. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. My bad on the time. Me and time zones aren't friends. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's okay. I actually, it was not to call you out, but I thought like he asked me what time zone I was in. So I was kind of confused in my own mind. I was like, did I say something wrong or whatever? So
no.
But
when I saw CT, I thought Connecticut. Okay, so he's in the Eastern zone, but no, Central. My bad.
That's fair. No worries. You're good.
You know what I mean? So as you can see, I got my guy, the Angry Cowboys fan here, and I am, of course, your boy, Hoody Kush from Kush and the Cowboy Smoke Hour. Everybody sees my guy, Mr. RJ Ochoa. I've been actually looking forward to having a chat with you for a long time. I love your content. You do great work. Definitely engaging. Of course, you see me comment on your stuff on X at length. You know what I'm saying? So I'm happy. I'm definitely happy to have you. Stoked.
Well, thank you for having me. Very kind of you to say. I'm so blessed and fortunate to do what I do. I mean, I just get to be a professional fan, and it's awesome to talk to other fans and be a part of our feelings all together. And this is the best time of year for it. It's getting, I mean, I felt like about a month ago, like, man, it got here pretty quickly, but now these last few days are just going so slow. I'm just like, man, I'm ready for the preseason to start. I'm ready to start smoking some pulled porks on some weekends, watch some college football, things like that. So, we're inching our way there at the very least.
You just spoke to the inner fat man in me when you said smoking pulled pork, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to make me get a smoker now. Thank you. I appreciate it.
It changed my life. I know we're not here to talk about that, but I'm very happy to do so. I got a pellet grill, and I know people have their thoughts and opinions on it, but it's improved my life to say the least.
Nice.
Absolutely. My wife got a pellet grill too, man. When cooking ribs and that thing, oh my goodness, they fall off the bone when they come out, man. It's crazy.
Totally.
But RJ, man, I watched the interview with you and Zach Walchuk on Loving the Star, and you guys were discussing a little bit about your backstory when it comes to your decision in covering the Dallas Cowboys. A direct quote that you had, "My job is to make life about the Cowboys." Do you find it difficult separating your job from your fandom?
I think that's a very fair question. I don't. I think that would be a very hard question to answer 10, 15 years ago. I'm, again, inordinately blessed. I mean, God has blessed my life, a million times over, but I don't work for a traditional media outlet. I don't work for a newspaper. I don't work for a place where, you have to walk a finer line. I've definitely been in some situations like that professionally. And I consider myself a professional, obviously. And you're respectful of boundaries and guidelines that exist in different circumstances and different situations. But for the most part, I feel like I've just landed in a spot and in a job and in a profession, specifically to me, where being a fan is kind of my superpower. Being a Dallas Cowboys fan molds the things that I'm able to do or see or analyze or assess. Not to say that my opinion is more valuable or whatever than anybody else's, but if I weren't a Dallas Cowboys fan, I quite literally wouldn't have this job. And so that's sort of what makes what we do at SB Nation unique. And there are a number of ways to skin a cat, obviously, and there's more than value in standard, objective, traditional journalism. But I would argue that we are objective, right? Like we cater to Dallas Cowboys fans. And so we tell you things that you need to know from a Cowboys slant and with a Cowboys narrative or hook involved. But it is still the truth. It is still fundamentally objective journalism. And so I think for me individually, it is my greatest strength. And so I lean into that, not in the we them boys sort of way, but in the way that helps me, this is my world, but we are a part of an overall solar system and an overall galaxy, if that makes sense.
True indeed. What got you started? What was the catalyst to jumpstart your career?
I moved to San Antonio in 2013 and was just really lost in life. I had been an engineering major early in college, and my dad's an engineer, and so just kind of felt like I have to do that. And it just wasn't for me. And so I just knew that I liked talking about the Cowboys as like wide-eyed of a thing as that was really all I could. When someone asked me that question at that point in time, like, what do you want to do? That's all I could say, right? Is like, I really like the Cowboys. And like everybody, I was in fantasy football leagues, and I started writing these emails, to my league and describing what happened. And, they're my friends and my family, but they enjoyed them. And so they kind of look forward to them. And that, kind of gave me a little bit of confidence. Like maybe I have an ability to tell stories or however you want to look at it, be funny, be witty, be clever. And when I was living in San Antonio, I would say, first of all, I met my wife, and she has been my sort of foundation for everything in my life and really helped me kind of get everything in order. But I started working at a Dallas Cowboys pro shop. And for anyone who doesn't know, these are retail stores, and they're exclusively Dallas Cowboys merchandise, much like what you guys have behind you. And so that gave me some professional experience in the workforce, I guess, and helped me kind of grow up a little bit. And at the same time, I almost got too lost in it. I almost got too invested in that career trajectory. And it wasn't until my wife said, don't forget how, what brought you. Don't forget why you got into this in the first place. And so I reached out to a blog, Inside the Star, and started writing for them. And at the time, we had launched a podcast. Bobby Bell, who's a good friend of mine, was starting that up. It was called Cowboys Cast at the time. I told Bobby, I said, hey, man, anytime you want someone to kind of chop it up with, I would love to do that with you. So I started just kind of doing everything I could, podcasting and writing. And I would say the catalyst was a local sports radio station in San Antonio 10 years ago in 2016. Had an open mic competition. They called it Rock the Mic. And it was just a very standard go give your sports take thing. And again, God working in my life, I happened to win that. And not only did I happen to win that, but they had two normal shows at the time on the station, and that was Dak and Zeke's rookie year. And obviously, the Cowboys were very successful, and they needed somebody to just talk about the Cowboys all the time. And there was always someone from their regular shows who had a dentist appointment or had to pick up their kid from school or something. So they needed somebody, and I would work for free. I recognize not everybody is in that sort of position, and I'm so blessed to have my wife and my parents who were supporting me at the time. But that really turned into a lot of opportunities for me. They would have Jason Garrett on every Monday. I would get to interview him and kind of learn from the people at the radio station. And later that year, the Super Bowl was in Houston. That was the 28-3 comeback. And they told me, hey, look, we can't pay for you to do anything here, but we can get your credential. We can use your hands. And I had family in Houston, so I made the drive myself. I crashed with my family and got to see and learn and just absorb a lot of things. And so I would say that whole experience was certainly catalytic for me, but it also taught me to say yes to everything. And a few years later, I started doing high school stats for them. They would call high school football games on Friday nights, and I would do color commentary, and all at the same time was just being active on the internet, talking to other people like you guys, about the Cowboys and picking up Twitter followers and things like that. Eventually came over to Blogging the Boys as a part-time contractor. And then in the spring of 2018, a full-time role opened up, and I'd had enough, kind of skins on the wall myself and enough professional experience that it all kind of was the stars lining up for me. And I've spent the last 8 years just trying to be 1% better every day, as much as a cliche as that is.
Not too cliche, because I find myself in that same range. I'm trying to be that 1% better at what I'm doing now. I have a regular job. I got 6 kids to take care of, house, all that, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, my wife is instrumental in the things that I do as well. Being in Jersey, I understand that there's hurdles, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody faces them. And there's things that I would love to be able to have a similar type of start that you had it's only hard because I have my own priorities. What would you tell someone in, say, my position who has their priorities but still wants to move forward in this space?
Well, I would say I was a single person at the time. I mean, I had my wife. We were, dating, but we weren't married, and so that becomes a different responsibility, right? When you're a husband and all of a sudden a caretaker, and I wasn't a father, obviously. We now have a 4-year-old, and so that has changed even how I work now, right? Like now, when he gets home from school, that time is his, right? Like before, it used to just be mine and able to do a lot of things, but he depends on me and he depends on us, and so I fully get. I don't have 6 children. I'm certain that's a hectic thing. So I would say first of all the feelings that you have are not only fair, but they're normal and they're understandable. It's fair to have some sort of, and I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but imposter syndrome or identity crisis or just frustration or longing for this, that, or the other. You see people who you like or whatever online and you feel like, man, I know I have the talent. I know I have the chops. I know I can do that. Why isn't that happening for me? Why aren't those breaks happening for me? And so I guess what I would say is your path will be completely different than anybody else's. That's also a cliche, but it is incredibly true. And I was living in San Antonio, and I don't live in Dallas now. I've never lived in Dallas. I live in South Texas in the Rio Grande Valley and cover the Cowboys every single day. And COVID certainly amplified our technological capabilities as a society in a different way. But my job was remote even before COVID. Many of us at SB Nation have worked remotely for forever. We have someone who covers the Patriots who lives in Austria. I mean, just as an example.
Wow.
And so to that point, I would say like the things that you feel, because we're all human and we all have insecurities, the things you feel that are your insecurities, those are your strengths. Those are your unique qualities. The fact that you're a father and you have 6 children and you have your husbandly duties and you have your household duties, like, dude, like, I mean, when the 3 of us are talking here, we get that, right? Like, we all understand that. Like, you're the Cowboys' dad, you're the Cowboys' husband. Like, these are things that like no one needs you breaking down the 6th OTA practice in a way that is unique in that sense. They want to connect with the dad who like, man, I just had 30 minutes or I had 5 minutes right now to record this video because I had to clean out the gutters, or, I got to go clean out the pit boss because we're going to smoke some ribs this weekend, right? Like everyone understands that. And so I would say, like, first of all, you want to harness those things. You want to value those things that make you unique. And I would say that the fact that you guys are off the ground with this show, like I would do shows, I would do live shows. This was in a world before places like StreamYard and stuff that make it so much easier. I would have to have Facebook Live on my computer, and I would have what was Periscope at the time on my iPad, and I would have YouTube Live on my phone, and I would try to like angle all these things so I could be looking in the same camera and trying to read the comments from different places all at once. And the sound quality was horrible. Like it wasn't any sort of professional microphone. And so podcasting and writing and newsletters and social media even have come such a long way in even the 10 years that I've been in this role professionally, so much so that I don't even personally do shows like this anymore. Now I just shoot vertically for Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and things like that, because I feel like we all look at this and say like, okay, it's time for the show, it's time for the game, and it's time to lock in. And I guess going back to what I started with, like, the show is all the time. The show is literally your life. The show is just simply what you're letting people see. So like I view the show for me as the clip I post now. But the clip I post now is maybe something you're not going to watch till you're in the bathroom later, or you're waiting in line at the DMV later, right? Like we're so much more online and on the internet perpetually than we were even just a decade ago, that this content can find people in a number of different ways. And you guys have already, bridge that gap in a significant way. And so it sounds arduous and it sounds frustrating to say like, keep doing, keep going. But for all the tweets or videos or whatever I've had that have gone like, viral or done whatever, done well, I can promise you I have 500 others for each one that have fallen flat and that nobody has cared. Like that work has to be done. Like you're never just going to go smash homer after homer after homer. You're not even going to get on base every time, right? Like, but you've got to go, take your swings and take your pitches and then go back to the dugout and go play defense as well. It's all part of the overall ecosystem that is online creation nowadays.
Fair enough. I appreciate that.
Bro, that was jewels, boy. I love it. Yo, RJ, I heard something about a contest, a Twitter contest called Retweet This. What was that about? How you won a contest on Twitter retweet this? What was
Oh,
it?
yeah, I think I told Zach about that. So this actually happened before I even was professionally involved, and it was a tweet from the Cowboys official account, and it was like, we're going to pick 5 people who retweet this to win a Walt Garrison signed photo. And so I just retweeted it, right? Like we've all retweeted those types of things like a million times. And I was one of the 5. And Shannon Gross, who I don't know what his official title was, to be honest with you, but for lack of knowing, was like the director of social media for the Cowboys at the time. Mm-hmm. And so he personally followed me to DM me to get my address to ship me my prize that I'd won. And so we just kind of remained Twitter friends as a result of that. And I happened to be in Dallas in 2011-ish. And I had seen through our just kind of Twitter friendship, whatever, just following him, I'd seen him post things like, just had a beer with a follower. Like these are the early days of Twitter where like, you know, that type of stuff was really rare. And it was really cool to see like real life connect like that. And so I just kind of sensed that he had this willingness to do stuff like that. So I happened to be in Dallas because I was at the time attending the Texas A&M in College Station. And so I just on a whim DM'd him and was like, hey, I'm in Dallas. Like, you want to get a beer? I was also like 22. So like getting a beer was like the biggest deal in the world. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so he said, so we went and had lunch, and he just told me a lot about his life, like a lot about his job, and which was very new. He told me about they had just drafted Mo Claiborne, and he told me like how exciting that was when they traded up and all that stuff. And so it was just very cool to learn from him. And I didn't realize it then, but that was maybe the catalyst that I didn't recognize. That kind of got my wheels turning. And just like I said, when I thought like I just really like the Cowboys, I just knew I wanted to do something like Shane. I just wanted to work in a way that he worked. I just wanted to be in the same space as him. So that was, I mean, again, I've had all these lucky, fortunate retweeting random things happen to me. And I believe that, for me, my faith is a big part of my life. I know everyone believes their own different things, but so if you don't believe in divine intervention or anything like that, I'm not saying that that's been everything that's happened in my life, but I feel like we put ourselves in positions to capitalize on things in life. Like you want to be ready when your number's called, whenever fate does smile upon you, whenever there is divine intervention. And I've just always worked hard to be ready to, jump at those moments whenever they do happen.
And I will say this real quick. Now you're in that position to where you have individuals like myself, like Hoody Kush, that's looking up to you and picking your brain and, virtually going to lunch with you, to start that journey. And I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it.
It's not a beer. It's Dr. Pepper, but,
Hey, well, mine is coffee. And to be honest, I think that we live in a time now where whatever your fix is for how you consume your Cowboys content, there are so many people who are accessible. For me, it was Shannon Gross at the time. But if you're a Cowboys YouTuber, you've got Law Nation, you've got Skywalker Still, you've got Vouch, you've got a million different people. I mean, I'm forgetting tons and tons of people, but there are so many people. If Twitter's your thing, there are a billion people on Twitter who love to talk about the Cowboys. If Instagram is your thing, if TikTok is your thing, like there are people up and down the ladder, every single place you go, wherever like is home for you, whatever like social platform or social place you like the most, or wherever you feel like you could have success there's someone, and we're fortunate as Cowboys fans that the community at large is pretty friendly. Sometimes things get a little tense with different subjects or whatever, but most people I think are willing to lend a helping hand. And I think I wouldn't have had the success I've had, Blogging the Boys wouldn't have had the success that we've had if not for other people in the community. And so I think early in my career I definitely was guilty of being protective and being, I'll say, narcissistic. And I was wrong in a lot of ways. And I think that that's an important lesson to learn, is that there's enough internet for us all to eat, right? Like you get so selfish and you get so just like, no, like we have to be the best and they're doing it wrong and we want to fight, we want to attack. But like, dude, like you can 100% disagree with somebody else. And guess what? There's enough room for them to have their legion, their hive, whatever, and you can have your own. And everyone can live at peace. We can all just deal with, having our own spots and wishing each other the best at the same time.
I'm more of the type that I'm a people person. I like working with people. I like meeting new people. Like you said, our technology has come a long way. You know what I'm saying? Just from 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So you're able to meet people from all walks of life You know what I'm saying? And the fact that we're all Cowboys fans, what is it? The Can fans, out there in Canada.
They're great.
I think they're awesome. You got Paul and the guys out in Ireland, you know what I'm saying? The UK. I think they're awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like 10 years ago, I wouldn't have had this opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Last season, I kind of discouraged myself trying it. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't get the traction that I wanted. I wanted microwavable traction. You know what I'm saying? But then I had guys like Angry. I had guys like CFT, Vach, Law, continuously pouring into me, giving me that confidence. I understand we all believe different things. I believe that faith is real. Okay, I believe in my faith that it's real. So divine intervention definitely took place for me to this is small, you know what I'm saying, but it's mine. You know what I'm saying? God gave me an opportunity to be able to bring my thoughts, my purview to other Cowboys fans. And I definitely understand what you're talking about. I couldn't ask for anything else, honestly. This has been huge just for me, and to be able to talk to guys like you, Zach Walchuk, that it gives me a sense of validation. Like, yeah, I'm walking the right path. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to just say I appreciate you watching your content for the past few years. You know what I'm saying? Getting to know you on the screen, not necessarily in person, but getting to know you on the screen, bro. You're very knowledgeable. You know what I'm saying? You have the right mentality. And if I could emulate anything, that would be it.
I appreciate it. And my only disagreement is I would not say you're small. I would not put yourself in a box like that. Like, at some point, this was just like a thought in your head, right? At some point, it was like, oh man, like it would be cool to do this. Like, I don't know who the first, maybe it was Law, maybe it was Zach, maybe it was whoever. Like, dude, you were like, I would like to do that. And dude, like, think about like how many different things you've had to overcome to like be right here, right? Like, I understand there are goals and there are benchmarks and things you want to do, more things you want to accomplish and things you want to clear, et cetera, et cetera. But like, you had to set up a million different things. You had to get different equipment. You had to set up your background. You guys had to coordinate. We had to coordinate times. We had a little bit of a bump in the road with the time zone situation, whatever. We don't have to talk about that. But like think about like how many things have had to happen, and not even just like fortuitous things, but how many things you guys had to make happen to make this happen. Like that in and of itself, for every content creator or however you want to label things, there are also like tons and tons and tons of people who don't do it, who won't do it. Not to shame them or whatever, but like there are just people who think about that, who text their buddy and say, we should do this, we should start a podcast, whatever, and then just ultimately don't. And so I love Survivor. It's like kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. And there's a longtime player, her name is Suri. And her whole thing is one day she just decided to apply and she got off the couch. She describes herself. She was a little lazy in life and whatever. And like you guys got off the couch. Like you got off the couch to start doing this. And again, I recognize there are people who you want to emulate. You want to do things. You want to have as many followers, just subscribers, and God willing, you get there and beyond. But you're not small. Like you've already outgrown what was small. And that's an important thing to kind of keep it as your heartbeat, in my humble opinion.
No, I appreciate that, bro. Like, again, sense of validation. I'm not saying small as in, voice. No, I have 6'4", 280. I have a booming voice. I have a boisterous personality. Of course, there's stepping stones. Of course, sure. There's growth to be had, and just starting, getting into the swing of things. I've come a long way since I finally bought my computer. I've come a long way since the first video. You know what I'm saying? I'm learning how to do things that I didn't know how to do. That kind of psyched me out a little bit. So You're 100% correct. I'm not small, you know what I'm saying? But there's growth. There's growth to be had. So I'm not slowing down.
Hell yeah. I love that. I mean, and like, there's no, maybe this is the last like thing I kind of have that I feel like is important. Like I chased being certain people for a while. I chased writing like certain people or sounding like certain people or reaching certain numbers or certain followers or whatever. And I do think goals are a good thing, right? Like certainly. But I think what really finally freed me was, and I recognize people have different responsibilities, like we talked about, like fatherhood and being a husband and household duties and whatnot. And that changes, the necessity of goals, obviously, for people. But what really liberated me was just like, man, I'm just going to like do it my way. And there, will be people who do not like that. And that's okay. I've been blocked by a lot of people on Twitter. Like and that used to bother me for a long time. And I would be lying if I said it, if I find someone that blocked me, it didn't still like be like, man, what the heck? Like, but I'm just not for everyone, right? Like I don't like everyone. I don't like every style of content. And you just like that's okay, right? Like it's okay if someone is not your cup of tea, if I'm not someone's cup of tea. And so, and that's not to say like my cup will definitely be loved by these people or whatever. It may not be loved by anyone. My wife and son may be the only two who truly do love it. But I would rather live and operate that way than chase being something that isn't true or authentic to me. I know, again, these all sound like cliches and stuff too, but be your own self, be Hoody Kush, be angry, be, you know what I mean? Like be y'all's selves, because there's no one else doing it that way. You know what I mean? There are people doing it my way or whatever way, but like there's no one doing it y'all's way.
Yeah, I kind of gave my son-in-law this advice. And you kind of seen it with Caleb Downs whenever he was coming to the facility and somebody said, hey, you're going to be the next Ed Reed. He's like, nah, I'm going to be the first Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
So my advice is kind of stop trying to be somebody and be somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's where I'm at with it. Is like, I understand who I am. I don't understand who CFT is. I don't understand who Angry is. I don't understand who RJ Ochoa is, even though we're getting to know each other right now.
Right.
But I know who I am. And who I am is I'm Hoody Kush.
That's a big step to me. I heard a sermon that really changed my life in general. And it was about there was a ladder that the pastor used. And he talked about how in life we have to do the possible. Right, like you have to climb the ladder. There are things that are within our control. Like, again, not to get too into faith and whatnot. People have different beliefs, but there are people who seem to believe that God will just like wave his magic wand and do everything in your life. Mm-hmm. And God will certainly work in your life, but you have to do your part, right? And so this whole sermon was about like you got to climb this ladder. You got to do that part. You got to do the possible so that God can suddenly do the impossible. There is certainly that gap. That there is the impossible that only God can do, as I believe and others believe, obviously. Yeah. But you have to do your part to get there. You can't just stay here and expect God to do the possible. Like there are things within your control. And so the within your control is identifying who you are, establishing who you are, being comfortable who you are, starting your show, doing this, requesting people to be online in interviews, pushing it, sharing it, reaching out, doing more, hustling, grinding, however you want to put it. And if you do those things, then I do believe that the impossible opportunities suddenly meet you because you've done your part to get there.
Indeed.
How do people block you, RJ? I just don't get it.
I can be annoying. You know what I mean? I can say some silly things. I'm okay admitting that, but I appreciate that compliment.
All right, I'm going to try to hammer in a few camp questions, man. So we finally gotten to this point. So what are your thoughts on the defense? Not specifically the players, the coaches.
I watched Christian Parker on Peter Schrager's podcast yesterday while I was folding laundry, and it was super cool to see him in a different type of setting that wasn't like a press conference. It was still a professional interview, obviously, but man, I have been very critical of the Cowboys for the last 2 years. I think that's why a lot of people have blocked me, to answer your question, Angry. And I felt like they intentionally were so toxic and were so just like, messy. And so I feel like defensively there has been behavior of an adult variety for the first time in over 2 years. That in and of itself raises the floor, right? Like, okay, cool. You have I don't know who we think the three best defenders on the team are, right? I would say we probably think Quinnen Williams, Caleb Downs, and pick your third, right? Even if you think the third is DeMarvion Overshown or Deron Bland. Two of the three were not on this team this time a year ago, right? Quinnen arrived at the trade deadline, obviously, but he was not on the team this time a year ago. So you're talking about you've got adult behavior happening now. The best players now are brand new. We're not a part of things. The person who you trust the most was certainly not on the team this time a year ago because now it's Christian Parker. So, I mean, all those beyond all of that, just mathematically, there is regression to the mean. And regression to the mean happens in the other direction too. That's why I'm just a little bit worried that the offense won't be like as on fire as it was last year, just because you always kind of come back down to equilibrium. So I expect the defense to just, by nature of mathematical odds, be better this year. And so I expect, just standard operating procedure, which has not been the case for a long time. And so if you get elite play, if you get Caleb Downs, obviously becoming the first Caleb Downs, if you get Quinnen Williams, if you get all these other things that add on and make the overall picture all the more impressive, then I don't know that I think they could be like a top 5 group or anything, but I think they'll be, the 14th to 18th best defense in the NFL on your average Sunday.
Okay.
Now, speaking of the defense, I hate to go into revisionist history and everything, but looking back at the 2025 season, where do you contribute the fall off? Was it more talent, or was it more coaching and scheme, or was it a mixture of both?
I was my dogs we have an insect guy here spraying the outside of the house. So they're pissed. They're really tiny dogs, so they like to overcompensate. So apologies, but I was a big fan of the Matt Eberflus hire. I have zero problem admitting that. I thought he was fantastic, and his first stint with the Cowboys was critical in the development and growth of Sean Lee. I think he does not get enough credit for how things went in Indianapolis, because he joined the Josh McDaniels staff that Josh McDaniels abandoned to go back to New England, obviously. It did not go well. Like, obviously, that is, how it all ended. But I would offer this man was really set up to fail. I mean, in the sense that he had to join a head coach who, was sort of like weirdly given the job. I know we're all like super high on Shoddy now, but like that doesn't mean the way it started wasn't very weird and clunky and toxic and broken. So he had to join the staff in a very weird way. And okay, here, Matt Eberflus, welcome home. We already got you in the like HR system and whatnot from your last stint with the team. Your best player is Micah Parsons. He's not going to be here at all. But don't worry. Like the Dak CD things, remember we got those done at the 11th hour. This will probably be just like that. Actually, just kidding. 7 days before the season begins, we're going to trade this man away after you've built, everything you have, obviously, upon that foundation, assuming that he's going to be a part of your overall team, overall operation, et cetera, et cetera. So that being said, I believe he was set up to fail, maybe not maliciously, maybe not intentionally, but he was not set up kindly the way that Christian Parker has. Like Christian Parker, it's like, man, this is the C-suite, bro. We got pastries, the fridge is full, like whatever you need, like it is the complete and total opposite. That being said, I do think that Matt Eberflus, somewhat respectfully, like I somewhat respect saying, you know what, I'm gonna go down Sinatra style. I'm gonna go down my way. But I think that Matt Eberflus was just at that point, maybe he was, I don't know, upset, bothered, like that would be natural, right, to feel scorned by all that. But he did not change or adapt as things got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So I think the Cowboys front office created the problem. I think he got a little petty, again, not to accuse anybody of anything, and that just made for an overall combination that wasn't great. I also think you could argue that the offense being so good hurt them. I mean, just truly. I mean, that's a weird thing to say, but it's like, man, in a weird way, if you're playing, I don't know, I think Minnesota is a good example. Like that team knows they have to be more aggressive to keep up with the offense. They've got to put up a ton of points. And so they're doing things that may not be normal or habitual for them because they know that Dak Prescott, CD, and George are obviously going to put up points on the other side. So I think it was a really terrible gazpacho. But if I had to blame somebody, you have to blame Matt Eberflus, as big of a bummer as it is, because he was the man in charge.
Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair. I'm firm on. That's my first question. Coaching. I'm definitely firm on coaching matters, but that does not absolve players because they're the ones who have to actually go out and produce. But so when we're looking at this coaching staff, moving on from 2025, when we're looking at this coaching staff, I'm not so much looking at Christian Parker because I know what he brings. Just from what he's done in the past. We know that he's a DB's coach. We know that's his bread and butter. What gives me more optimism is the Derek Ainsley, the Ryan Smith, the Marcus Dixon, Chidera Uzo-Deribe. That kind of gives me a little bit more optimism because it's like, all right, so Derek Ainsley and Ryan Smith are both cornerback coaches or secondaries coaches. And it's like you're hammering home you're hammering home secondary. Marcus Dixon, he's had a pretty damn good defensive line, even with Minnesota. We've seen that. So it's like you're hammering home the details. You know what I'm saying? Chidera, he's coming from I would think the standard of defenses in college football, I would think. So like bringing that in is like, yeah, there's a big change going on. It's definitely something that we're not used to, but to me, it gives me more optimism because it is so different.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. I think, we all love Dan Quinn up until the end. But I would say that maybe the best part of that whole run wasn't even Dan. It was Al Harris, right? Like you think about like how influential and how important these assistants are. I mean, you think about how critical he was in the development of Trayvon Diggs, obviously before everything got bad, and even Deron Bland, making Deron Bland work when Trayvon got hurt. And, Stephon Gilmore's part of that, right? Like the veterans on the team, even to your point, like kind of coaches on the field type thing. No, I mean, and because at the end of the day, Christian Parker is just one man, right? Like it's an entire defense, and there are a million things to do. So he calls the defense, and he's the most important person, certainly. But from a day-to-day standpoint, like who's the person that's in the weight room with these guys? Who's the one breaking down film? Who's the one cutting up the film? Who's the one who's implementing and installing all these things? Like the minutia of who makes up your staff is incredibly important in that sense. That's why I loved at least Matt Eberflus during his first stint when he was the linebackers coach before he was obviously defensive coordinator. So yeah, I mean, I would say my only reservation, if I have one, is that because there is so much unprovenness, like it's all brand new. Like I don't mean unproven. It's just, we just peeled the sticker off, right? Like let's see what this thing can do. We're driving this car off the lot type thing. But this cornerback room is pretty, it's a little shy. It's a little, tough. And so maybe the coaching helps that. Maybe Christian Parker helps that. You're right. He's a DB. That's his background. The analogy I've sort of landed on is like, I'm terrible at finishing video games. So I'm still playing Spider-Man 2. And so like, I don't know if you guys play video games or whatever, but like in this game, you get certain suits and certain suits like boost certain attributes or whatever. Right. And so like maybe Christian Parker is the Spider-Man suit for DBs, right? Like maybe having Christian Parker just like improves your corners because he's Christian Parker, like whatever. Like that's just not to take away from Quinyon Mitchell or Cooper DeJean or Patrick Surtain, but like there's a lot of data there that would seemingly those are also elite talents. But so there's a big difference between those guys and Kalen Carson type thing. Yeah. But that being said, I think that the way we trust Christian Parker implicitly, I also trust that he picked this staff to be who he can't be in the moments that he's not available for X, Y, or Z.
That's where I'm at with it. Good, Angry. You got another question?
Absolutely. I'm going to switch from the cornerback room to the linebacker or the edge rusher in the 3-4. When it comes to Maurice Leofau, what's your take on Maurice Leofau? Do you see him making the 53-man roster, or is he one of those bubble players that you might see end up on the practice squad?
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think if they're asking you to switch positions a little deep into your career, it's never a good thing. There's always exceptions, and there's always the person who manages to pull it off. But and the switch to the 3-4 opens up opportunity. And if you can rush the passer, if you can affect the passer, if you can affect the pocket in any way, there's going to be a role for you. He flashed. There was that game, that Carolina game, his rookie year, that we'll all always have the memories of. I just don't know, and I don't think it helps him. That the defensive staff is not who brought him in, or like those. I don't want to lump it up to politics, but like those politics matter, right? Like if it becomes a conversation, if it becomes a debate between him or whoever. But I would say right now, I haven't made a 53-man roster prediction yet, and we'll start doing those after like this week and stuff. But I think right now I'd probably leave him off personally. I don't like. If you rank just the defense, if you rank the players on the defense and their importance, like, is he in your top, like, 15 or 20 most important players of the defense, with all due respect?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How I look at Marist, I think he has versatility. I mean, he's got that inside-outside flex. Special teams matters. We all know. When we did see him on the field, he wasn't a bad product. I mean, did he have his slip-ups, hiccups? Of course. There isn't a player in the league who doesn't have hiccups or slip-ups every now and then. I guess the edge room or outside linebacker room is so saturated that it's going to be kind of hard to evaluate everyone. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I guess my motto is I'm here to wait and see. You know what I'm saying? I want to see what happens. So,
yeah, I mean, and position flexibility certainly carries you through a lot of things. And obviously what starts today is going to help provide some data to help, justify or move against Marist or whoever, obviously, in a different capacity. And maybe he will prove to be valuable, right? Like maybe he'll prove to be that guy for Christian Parker, right? Like this is literally when they're going to figure those things out. So it is one of those things where I think you can see it going both ways, but I would put him in the box of dudes who sort of have to prove something in order to earn their spot, which, is not necessarily the case for everyone.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Now I'm going to switch. Yes, sir. I got a couple more. I'll switch it over to the offensive side of the ball. When it comes to the position battle during training camp, how much of a shot would a player like Malik Davis have as opposed to, for the RB2 position, as opposed to Jadon Blue? Is it Jadon Blue's position to lose, or is it just wide open?
So I started my collegiate journey at Texas A&M when they were in the Big 12, and so I really hate the University of Texas. I ultimately graduated from Arizona State, and we lost the Peach Bowl to the University of Texas, so I really hate them. So it's difficult for me to put that bias aside, but I'll and I don't know if maybe truly, I know I'm joking, but I'm just not on the Jadon Blue train as much as most people. And I recognize there is I don't think it's just like you're a Longhorn fans who root for the Cowboys, but like they're a visible brand. Like people have seen a lot of his college games or like that. It's different in college when you've got dudes coming from programs that you see often on TV where their highlights are in your TikTok feed more often. But I would say that, he had a falling out with the coaching staff last season. Now it's a new year, new slate, all that matters, but like it's not like it's a new coaching staff, right? Like that seems important. That seems like, okay, you clearly did something to lose some trust. Plus, I just have never felt like that type of back, not to generalize, can be your snap in, snap out guy, right? Like you've obviously got Javonte Williams, and this is a discussion about RB2 to be fair. But I just don't know that we're asking you to be special every snap that you come in and take. And that's just so hard to do. We're asking you to be flashy and that guy like every single time. And it's very, very difficult. We all loved Lance Dunbar, but that was not who he was like every single time he touched the ball. It did happen time to time, and I don't mean to say he's that person, but I think Malik Davis also has the trust of the staff, and it's the same staff as last year. That matters. He's also a Florida Gator. I'm in a master's program at the University of Florida, so I'm definitely biased in that sense. Thank you. But if I have to pick like a horse in the race, I am definitely placing my fictional money on Phil Mafah. That to me is the ideal archetype of who I want to spell Javonte Williams. I threw it back to Lance Dunbar to throw it back to the late, great Marion Barber. He feels like that to me. Like when Marion was first coming on, it was, when the Cowboys offense was rolling, obviously in the Tony Romo days, and you just needed that dude to salt the game away. And he was just perfect for that. And that's how I view Phil Mafah. He's that fourth quarter guy because you don't want this offense to be, unless you have to, obviously, but lighting things up in the fourth quarter if you don't fully trust your defense, right? You do want to be able to sustain some longer drives that go the length of the field. And Javante's human. He's going to have to rest like we talked about. Or he might have a slip up or a human moment, a mortal moment. So I just think that the Phil Mafah archetype is easier to trust. Plus, this is a team that's had some red zone issues, some goal line issues in the past like that. I just trust that more. That's not to say that I don't think Jadon can have a spot on the team, right? Like maybe they do even carry 4 running backs. Maybe Hunter Lipke makes that conversation difficult. To me, the Jadon Blue debate is really more with Kevontae Turpin at this point. I like Kevontae Turpin. I don't really feel like adds much on offense. He hasn't added a ton on special teams really ever. That Washington game will be special. We'll always have that. But can Jadon Blue return punts and kicks? Because if so, now you have provided a value somewhere that is legitimate. Now you can touch the ball very often throughout a game. And if the drop off from Cavante to you there isn't that significant, then certainly you have a spot on the team. And then, yeah, when it's 3rd and long and we need a screen pass or something like that, maybe you can go make magic. But I would not bet on him to be RB2 for a variety of reasons. But that's one of those things, like, if I had to rank the things that I hope I'm wrong about, that's probably number 1. Because if he can be that guy, that will really add an entirely different element to the offense. And obviously that would benefit everybody.
Sure. I have one more question for you. This is going to be this question is somewhat of a game. It's true or false. There is a left tackle competition. True or false?
I'm going to say false because I think they know the answer. I think they're just, they're making their way there politically, right? Like, you can't come out and say whatever it is. But they have their ideal answer at this point in time. It may not be Tyler Guyton, though. I don't know. I mean, Shadi said what he did yesterday about Tyler Booker getting snaps at center and Tyler Smith getting snaps at left tackle. I'm not a fan of moving Tyler Smith to tackle. I don't know if you guys are. Okay, good.
I don't want my all-pro guard being my Pro Bowl tackle. No.
Yeah. Is it ideal that you have this problem at tackle in Tyler Guyton's 3rd year? No. We can all admit this. But, like, you don't have to create 5 problems to fix that one. If you had moved Tyler Smith to tackle after his rookie year, after he replaced Tyron, great. But you couldn't let go of Tyron for understandable and obvious reasons. And so this is it. Like, you're pot committed on Tyler Smith. You can't move him around. I don't know why you want to move Tyler Booker to center. Maybe you're just seeing what that world would be like if Cooper Beebe got hurt. I would be fine if they went Nate Thomas, I suppose. Like, we're past the point where Tyler Guyton is the 1st-round pick, right? Like, he's just a guy now battling for a roster spot. That's unfortunate and it sucks, but, like, you have to play the hand that you were dealt. But that's my opinion. I don't know. So I said false. What do you guys think?
I say false. I don't think there was ever a left tackle competition. I think it's Tyler Guyton's to lose anyway. Mm-hmm. For me, it's never been his ability. It's always been his availability. He hasn't been able to stay on the field. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's the only knock I give him. He hasn't been healthy the past 2 years. Now, of course, all that can change this year. All that you can change and put all that to bed. But if there was any consternation that I would have, it would just be that he's constantly injured. You know what I'm saying? But again, all that can change. How about you, Angry?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like it's Tyler Guyton's to lose, but at the same time, I feel like Brian Schottenheimer put that out in the ether just to, give him a little boot in the butt, to say, like, hey, we like you, we want you to be in this position, but we do have somebody behind you that's chomping at the heels. So let's see if you can make that jump, kind of like a manual jump start for him, as opposed to him going out there and getting into himself. Like, Brian Schottenheimer kind of kicked him in his butt. So I feel it's his position to lose, but I am glad that Nate Thomas is right there on his heels for that position.
Yeah, and I would say, like, the Tyler Smith thing to me, if I'm Tyler Guyton, like, that's not a real threat. Like, if I'm Tyler Guyton and you're like, watch out, we're going to move Tyler Smith, it's like, no, you're not. Like, let's be real. Like, you know what I mean? like y'all aren't dumb. You know what I mean? But, like, Nate Thomas, that's a real thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Drew Shelton would also not be a real thing just because he's a rookie, but, like, maybe long-term that's a real thing. But I would say that was the first point. That was the first, like, maybe sit up in his chair type thing. Because it's like, hey, dude, there's now, like, a left tackle option of the future, right? Like, your 2027 is no longer promised. And your 2026 might be compromised by Nate Thomas. And it's after this, it's time to decide whether or not they want to pick up his 5th-year option. So it's like, are you going to be Mozzie Smith and Taco Charlton, or are you going to be everybody else? Because this is the fork in the road time.
Yeah, real talk.
And I got one more question, and I had to pick from 2.
Do them both. Why pick?
Okay.
Do them both.
Okay. All right. So the first question is, Dak Prescott going into his 11th year as the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. Number of Cowboys fans, they think that Dak Prescott has been the reason for the failures of the Dallas Cowboys not making it over the hump. Do you believe Dak Prescott has what it takes to get the Cowboys to a championship and win?
I think that we have sometimes, I'm very pro Dak. I've always been in this camp. I have fought the good fight. I've got the scars to prove it. Like I've been on the internet, having these dumb arguments with people the same way you guys have. But I think sometimes in our natural tendency now to defend him, maybe we go a little bit overboard. Maybe we like just a teeny bit over romanticize. We make it like that he is infallible and he doesn't make a single mistake. I don't know, but I would imagine that he would say he does make mistakes, right? Like it's multiple things could be true. It could be true that like largely he has not been the issue, but that in some moments he could have been greater. And is it unfair to ask him to be greater than the Eagles have asked Jalen Hurts to be or whatever? Yes, of course it's unfair. We again, multiple things can all be true at the same time. But I absolutely believe. I think that this is sort of like a pass-fail proposition. If there's a line in the NFL, and if you have a quarterback of this talent, you have enough, like from that position to be able to do this. It's a team game though, and Dak is well above this line. I mean, like I would say the like low bar for that in the NFL is like Baker Mayfield. If your quarterback is even that good, you can win a championship. You can do it. You just have to have all the right things fall in place. And beyond the fact that I think Dak, some of the playoff games haven't gone well. Some have been amazing. Again, multiple things, coaching, all these issues. This is going to sound like coping and just like complaining and being a Cowboys fan, but like, man, they have not gotten the draw. Like they have not gotten the luck. And look, you make your own luck. We talked about that like personally, but I think about Jalen Hurts, and this is not meant to like shade the Eagles in any way. But that first Super Bowl run they had, they didn't win it obviously, but they were the 1 seed. They earned that. Okay, respect. But in the divisional round, they got the Daniel Jones Giants because they shocked the Vikings and beat them. Okay, cool. And then in the title game, they got the 49ers who literally didn't have a quarterback. I mean, in their other title game,
as the quarterback.
Yeah. In their other title game, they got the Commanders who upset the Lions. They didn't even have to play the 1 seed. And again, like not their fault. Like you play who's in front of you, like not to take away. They won that world championship. They deserve it. They earned it. They deserve all the respect and props. But my point is like, okay, so if we have, but you can bag on the Cowboys for losing to the Packers kids that they lost to, that young team and Matt LaFleur and all that. Okay, respect. But outside of that, their playoff losses have been to the mighty San Francisco 49ers, who we all acknowledge are this like not dynasty, but have had this incredible run. And then the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, so, for the most part, they just get like the bad draw. Like they have not. So people love to say like, oh, what do they need? Can they make the championship game this year? It's like, okay, yeah, maybe they're the 1 seed and the like Michael Penix Falcons stumble their way there. And that's who they get. Like, or maybe the Rams are a wild card team and like all of a sudden they've got to host the Rams. Like, things just haven't gone their way. Again, I recognize that sounds like complaining and just like coping and grasping at straws, but again, in a world where multiple things can be true, that is one of them in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I'm of the belief that there's 3 things that you need in order to win a championship: great coaching, good discipline, and a little bit of luck.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And this last one, I want to ask you about Luke Schoonmaker.
For this one.
That's an interesting. That's like the swan song. Okay, good for Luke. I'm happy he's getting this kind of pop. Okay.
Every draft the Dallas Cowboys have, they've succeeded in the UDFA area. Last year was Trayshawn Holden, and this year is Michael Trigg. So this could be more of a Michael Trigg type of thing. Do you think Michael Trigg has what it takes to bump Luke Schoonmaker out of that tight end 3 position and take it over this year?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even. I know you said it could be a Michael Trigg thing. I think it's a Luke Schoonmaker thing, right? Like, what is? And these are difficult things to say out loud because these are human beings and they're more athletically talented than us, right? Like they're the 1% of their lives and respect. Like you've made it this far. But that being said, like, what does he do that you can't live without? Like, what is the thing that like Luke Schoonmaker offers that you're like, nope, I've got to have that. I need that on my 53 because I don't know what it is. Like, is he just another tight end? Like, is he just like a veteran tight end who you can sign and pick up off the street? Because yeah, you've got Jake Ferguson, you've got Brevin Spanford, you've obviously got Michael Trigg contending and competing, and this is like back to the Jaden Blue thing. Like, do I need to carry Kevontae Turpin? Can Jaden Blue do some of those things? Like, because Hunter Lipke's part of this kind of like general math. Obviously, he's not a tight end, but like now we're talking about players like down the roster who are playing special teams. Like this I should not just like your thing in your fourth year as a second round pick cannot be special teams. Like that it just cannot be that. And so if that's all you're offering and I can find that somewhere else, right? Like I can trim that fat. Not saying he's fat, but like again, that's just that's the brass tacks of it all. So yeah, I mean, like the idea of Michael Trigg is more interesting, and he's got his own journey to work on, and we'll see. Like, obviously, if he can put it all together. But like, we threw it back to Lance Dunbar and to Marion Barber, but like, I don't know that Dak was well enough capable to make Rico Gathers a thing when that happened. Like, Dak wasn't who he is now, and so like now I fully trust Dak. Like Dak will totally make Michael Trigg like a tried and true part of the offense and capitalize on his special abilities, and Luke Schoonmaker just doesn't have them. Like, it isn't like, think about the tight ends that Dak Prescott has made work. Like, Peyton Hendershot was a thing because that's like how good at utilizing the position all due respect to Peyton Hendershot. Yeah, I mean, like, so like, dude, like this guy can make just like lemonade with anything at tight end. You know what I mean? So like, Luke Schoonmaker, what kind of lemons are you offering that like this can't happen here? So yeah, I mean, it's going to require obviously a rise and some performance through camp and through their preseason. But I would say right now, Schoonmaker is like my 53rd, 54th player on a potential 53-man roster, if that makes sense.
Okay. I'm not so much torn. I think I know the answer. It's kind of like the writings on the wall. I mean, last season you had Brevin Spanford, who was a UDFA, come in and literally take your spot. You know what I'm saying, halfway through the season. And now you have another UDFA coming in. Now we had Rivaldo Fairweather. We had John Stevens. John Stevens, unfortunately, injuries derailed him. Rivaldo Fairweather, he could have done some magical things. Unfortunately, he was plucked off the practice squad. Well, now you have Michael Trigg, who's coming in with uber athleticism. But of course, there's things that he has to work on, blocking being one, mentality being another. But if another UDFA walks through these doors and is able to push him down further, like that, that's not so much, hey, Michael Trigg, you did it. It's more like Luke, what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, and Luke is, from a draft pedigree standpoint, the most premium talent that Dak has ever had at the position. I mean, you could certainly argue Jason Witten to a different degree. It was unique. It was early in his career, but even then he was a third-round pick. Luke is a second-round pick. Dalton Schultz, fourth-round pick. All the guys you mentioned, mostly UDFAs. You've got Jake Ferguson, fifth-round pick. You've got leaving some Blake Jarwin, undrafted free agent, right? Like, so like you are like,
Jarwin too.
Oh, dude. I mean, another one that like I mean, we'll always have that Giants game and the hat trick. That was great, but but like, dude, like it just, and like, just even if ignoring all of that, last year was literally one of the most successful offensive seasons in franchise history, and you were not a remote part of it. You know what I mean? Like that's like, okay, dude, like that's a little strange. You know what I mean? And you know, even then I would say Jaden Blue wasn't a part of it, but Jaden has something special. It may not happen all the time, but we can see it being something that like does make something different out of all this. What is that? Like, it's his speed, right? But like, what is Luke Schoonmaker's like speed? What is his version of what Jaden Blue has? I don't know. I don't think it's really anything. And it's a little bit more difficult at tight end than at running back, but like, that's what I'm saying. I just, you know, but Michael Trigg does, right? Like Michael Trigg's Michael Trigg's like specialness marries with the red zone deficiency, the red zone issues, right? Like this is a team that like, that's their kryptonite. And he has like, you know, he's immune to kryptonite. You know what I'm saying? And so like he all of a sudden provides something that they can use, and it just doesn't seem to be the case with Luke Schoonmaker.
I take it.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to have to start wrapping this thing up. RJ, I really enjoyed having you. Like a very enlightening interview. Great nuggets, things that I can definitely go back and give me and Angry some thought-provoking conversation. Definitely would love to do this again. Let's do some last words, man. You got what do you got for us? Last words, man.
Oh man, last words are football season is just the best time of year. I mean, like, truly, I once heard Twitter referred to as the greatest sports bar on earth, because you just get to hang out and absorb what you want. And I've really just come to embrace that in all platforms, right? Like, this is a time of year where, like, every day you have some sort of, like, football energy moving you in a certain direction, whether it's your fantasy team or your college team or your high school team or, whatever. And it all ultimately, for us sickos and weirdos, points to Sunday or Monday, whatever the day the Cowboys are playing. And, like, this is it. Like, this is the metronome to our lives for the next 6 or 7 months, as the kids do. And so, I mean, like, that is such a cool thing. Like, that is such a cool thing that we can all believe different things. We can all have different likes and wants and wishes and preferences and whatever. But, like, this is our common denominator. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really grateful. I'm really excited. I'm really happy. It's always the best time of year. The food we mentioned, the holidays that get woven into it. I mentioned my son is 4. He was born the night before Thanksgiving. And so sometimes his birthday falls, on it now, whatever. But, like, that just, like, if you had asked me before his birth, like, what the most stressful week of my life is professionally, it's Thanksgiving, just because of the quick turnaround and the fact that it's a holiday and I got to smoke the turkey now and all this stuff. And so, of course, like, God would be like, well, your son's going to be born this week too, so you got to deal with all this. And, like, that's how I feel about football season in general. It gets so busy. You got Halloween, you got the clock's falling back. I don't know if we're doing that anymore or whatever, right. But, like, but my point is, like, it is the most hectic time of the year in the best possible way. And so I'm just really excited to soak it all up and enjoy every second. I appreciate having good friends like you guys and hope that you all soak it up in your own ways as well.
Absolutely.
Angry?
My final word is, RJ, thank you. Thank you for coming on here and giving us your insight, letting us know a little bit more about you and how you have risen to the station that you are now. And I don't want to call the Dallas Cowboys Pro Shop the bottom, but started from the bottom, now we're here. And I appreciate that. You're such an inspiration to people that do this, that, that want to get into, whether it's a journalism field or just covering their favorite team. Doesn't have to be the Cowboys. We got Commanders and Eagles fans in here as well. But you are just a shining example of what we can be, and I appreciate that. I appreciate your knowledge. I appreciate the videos that you put out. I may clip some of them because you dropping jewels, so I gotta clip them. But thank you very much. I appreciate your time today, and I appreciate you in the chat, Cowboys Nation. Thank you all for being here for this.
Facts, man. Again, man, I can't thank you more. I can't express my gratitude for you even responding. Okay. But again, like you said, man, I consider you a friend. You're a friend of the show. You will be a friend of the show for a long time to come. And I'd like to think that we're going to be doing some more work together. So with that being said, no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and anytime you want, I consider us all friends. You guys on the Christmas card list and all that jazz. So, but really appreciate it. And shout out to the Cowboys Pro Shop. I didn't want them to be the bottom. It was a 40% discount. That's sick. It was as sick as you can imagine. So,
real talk. Well, with that being said, everybody, I enjoyed this show. Chad, I appreciated you guys sticking around through the 2 hours. It was more my fault than anyone else's, so don't blame anybody but me. Now me and time zones are going to have to learn how to have somewhat of a intimate relationship. But
especially if the clocks do or don't fall back, that's going to mess you up in a whole different way. Yeah, for sure.
Seriously. So with that being said, this is your boy Hoodie. That's your guy Angry, and our guy RJ Ochoa. And this is Kush and the Cowboy Smoke Hour. We appreciate y'all being here with us. Peace.
Deep voice rolling in the dark. Say it slow. Let it bloom. The smokehouse presence under cedar light and a midnight moon. Boots on the porch in the screen door size. Lantern glow dancing in a jar of flies. Old strings hum where the embers sleep, and the whole front yard feels low and deep. Bare by the fence and a weather bench. Smell of pine smoke hanging over the fence. A busted old truck in the dust by the shed, and the radio whispers from the kitchen ledge. They come from the highway, they come from the ridge, riding in quiet as the river bridge. Hats tipped down with a grin on half, like they known this place since the first my back. A smoke, a breeze, and the cold stay kind. Every spark moves like a small lost sign. There's a story in the grain of the tabletop, in a slow sweet hush that the night won't stop. Kush and the Cowboys, slow smoke hour. Let it roll, let it glow, let it wash like powder. Kush and the Cowboys, under stars that burn. We don't chase the dawn, we let the embers turn. Kush and the Cowboys, lean back, stay near. Hear that low sound ring through the cedar air. Kush and the Cowboys in a warm haze ride, with the whole world soft and the night outside. Miss Rose at the door with a tray of light, cornbread gold and a mason jar bright. One boy laughs with a chip in his tooth, says the world gets kinder in the smokehouse roof. There's a slide guitar crying from the back, like a train on a line that don't look back. And the boots got time on the plank wood floor, while the moon hangs low by the kitchen door. The human out with their coffee cups, saying pass that flame, let the past wake up. There's a long drawn piece in the evening's hand, like a slow sunrise on a desert land. And the girls in denim with their hairpin loose, got a windbone shining a sweet sad truth. Every laugh falls soft in the drifting haze, like a memory caught in a copper blaze. Kush and the Cowboys, slow smoke hour. Let it roll, let it glow, let it wash like powder. Kush and the Cowboys, under stars that burn. We don't chase the dawn, we let the embers turn. Kush and the Cowboys, lean back, stay near. Hear that low sound ring through the cedar air. Kush and the Cowboys in a warm haze ride, with the whole world soft and the night outside. If the road gets wild and the miles get cold, come back to the fire where the hush takes hold. Let the smoke curl up like a prayer in the trees. Let the hard world fade in the evening breeze. One deep voice calls from the timberline, and the whole porch answers in a slow unwind. No rush, no dust, just a steady flame. Only the night and the ones by name. Kush and the Cowboys, slow smoke hour. Let it roll, let it glow, let it wash like powder. Kush and the Cowboys, under stars that burn. We don't chase the dawn, we let the embers turn. Kush and the Cowboys, lean back, stay near. Hear that low sound ring through the cedar air. Kush and the Cowboys in a warm haze ride, with the whole world soft